Y'all know I'm an old man, right? I don't know if y'all know that or not. I'm an old man, and I'm usually asleep around this time. But I've been wanting to get this live done for a while. So here I am. I'm not here to talk about Junior Phenom or any of the other live. You know, this ain't one of those kind of live. You here for AAU talk. This is AAU talk, but this ain't team based. This is just some good information. I think a lot of you guys, parents especially, can use to your benefit. So I have a special guest who I'm about to tap in. She coached. She's a cp3. She's a cp3 camp coach. Amazing. Let her introduce herself here in a second. Janae,
Hello, what's up?
what it do?
What to do?
You
How
got me
are
out.
you?
I'm tired. I'm tired. I don't do lives this late, but I know you have an amazing schedule because you do so many wonderful things, and I thought I really wanted to get you on here, to give out some good information. We can talk about some things. We
Yeah,
can talk about some things.
appreciate you
So,
as always.
do me a favor
Yeah.
and introduce yourself. And tell the world of DMV grassroots what it is that makes you so special.
I'm Shanae Howard. Decade and a half in education. Former Division I basketball player. So sometimes I like to throw it out there for the kids, but sometimes even these parents, I'll be like, you could Google me. I did used to bounce the ball a little bit, but the biggest thing is I led with academics, right? So I love working with youth and particularly getting them to see athletics is the back to academics, right? Academics is the vehicle that gets you the scholarship. That's how I got my full Division I scholarship, and I became who I wanted to play because at the end of the day, the ball's going to stop bouncing. And what we are doing today is chatting because in this day and age, every parent, we can complain about reclassification or kids being too old in this grade and that grade, but I always stop and be like, what are they doing academically? Yeah, I know they look big on the court, but let me see them transcripts. Let me see them grades because there are some people that are doing it and they're not seeing the benefits. And they're like, I made this decision with my kid because the coach told me to or this. But if you're gonna do it, at least be armed with the information. I'm not saying I'm pro or I'm against, but I am pro doing what's right for your child. And so that's what I do. I do that on a daily basis. I get the awesome opportunity to do it sometimes more than not with older kids, but I do it with younger age group, particularly in the middle school. It's starting to pick up a lot because the NCAA does not require, that information, right? Sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, is really not submitted to the NCAA when it comes academically, unless that eighth grader is taking high school courses. And so no one knows, what's going on. And that's for now, I wouldn't be surprised if the NCAA start putting some straps down on that younger age group because when you do fill out your eligibility center, they are asking where you've been since 12. They are asking those questions. So that's something that they are asking. And I'm just here to shed some light on this information and may even answer some questions, pop some in the chat. I feel like this is a live, and so this is a little bit more informal. But I'll be happy to share, any of that.
Absolutely. So, like you said, right? I I've done this page for a while, and obviously you have new parents who come onto the scene with first and second and third graders. You have parents who've been taking their kid, you know, all the way into middle school, and they're going based off of rumors, right?
Mm-hmm,
You have a lot of people who do things based off of, oh, I heard this, oh, I heard that. And you're making very important decisions for your children. Unfortunately, and I'm saying ignorant in the word that it means ignorant. You legitimately don't know what you don't know. And I will be the first to tell you that I was one of those parents. Like, I have been fortunate enough that I seek information from people who have done it. Um, People have been through the cycle two or
yeah.
three times just to get the idea, and seeking out people like you. But reclassing, like you said, is a big thing. I almost feel like pre-COVID it was like a dirty word, right? I feel like,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
I feel like pre-COVID, it was like a dirty
yeah,
word, like, ew, you reclass your son, you duck and bump, right?
yeah,
And a lot of people still look at it that way.
yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, like you said earlier, post-COVID, it's no longer a dirty word. It's almost the expectation if you want to play at a high level. Like, that's just
It,
the reality of it. Like,
it's sad. You have to make hard statements like that, and sometimes people don't want to say it. I noticed a shift in my consulting. Right, I'm an education consulting. Literally, I was talking to high schoolers on a consistent basis. Like, this is what you're doing. Maybe they reclass. Maybe they. All of a sudden, my phone calls started getting younger and younger, and I'm like, "What grade you in? Huh? 6? Okay." And but they want to go to this WCAC school. So we're talking about this in sixth grade, but we're talking about this in fifth and sixth grade. And the plans are starting to get younger and younger and younger. And to be honest, my mother always prepared us and said, listen, you don't want to be behind the curveball. At least you want to be prepared. So then when you do get to that age, you can make a decision
right,
about whether or not. And students and student athletes that play so young, right? And you know this, third, fourth, fifth, parents are starting to pour in financial investments early. And I think that's the thing. People don't realize that, right? You starting investing early. These tournaments are not cheap. This traveling every weekend, this doing stuff, and people
man,
starting in
what?
third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and
That
you're
gets
starting
worse.
to make these investments. And while I believe it should be fun, don't get me wrong, I believe in recreational sports. A lot of the people, especially people that follow you, or people that's getting on my phone, these kids are playing at a high level, right? And so they want some ROI, return on their investment, and then that's where these conversations start happening. But it's like you have to also you're competing with age. Are they mature enough to even have this conversation? Are we talking about repeating a grade, and what are they learning in school that it requires them to repeat? And these are the questions that I get, and these are the questions that we have to sit down on a case by case, because the biggest thing is not one size fits all. Every child is different, and a parent, you and I are both parents of multiple children.
Yes,
One of our kids, we could be like, please reclass them. They're going to take that, and they're going to take honors classes, and they're going to kill it. And so it's really like we're preparing them to be a doctor. Then there's another kid. I got another kid. She don't even want to color in the lines right now. She too. I know I'm not going to do that with her, because
right,
schooling is not gonna be for her. Like, she not there, so I'm gonna have to stay on their butt in every grade she's in, and make sure she's able to, succeed in whatever she decides to do. But
right.
your child, and I spend a lot of time saying, what is your child doing? Can they facilitate doing work by themselves? How much are you involved? Because this is a whole family decision when you decide to do something of this nature. And then it gets down to the question, should I wait? Is it even worth it? Is it even this? And I always tell parents, it's worth a conversation. It's worth it because it's happening. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
So it's worth a conversation. Do I say you take action right away? No, but you should be well informed, and it's worth the conversation, because seventh and eighth grade is going to hit you quick, third graders. And then seventh and eighth grade to me is the new ninth and tenth, right? You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it definitely is. Let's be
Like,
clear. Let's be clear.
that's the
It
new high school
absolutely is.
basketball. Like, both of us we do CP3 camp. We be like, these look like
Ain't no way.
we in high school
Ain't no
camp.
way.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these kids dunking and all this. Like, so seventh and eighth grade, you're thinking high school, and then when you're in high school, you're thinking college. Like, this is, everything is getting a little bit earlier on this end. And if your kid is going to be part of that 1%, because here's another thing, the number hasn't changed. Reclass has gone up, transfer portal has gone up, all this stuff has happened. But that 1% number of high school student athletes competing at the collegiate level in Division 1% hasn't changed. It didn't get higher, it didn't get lower. So why is that? At the end of the day, there's still people playing the game, and there's still people making sure their kid is ready for whatever level that they're going to
Right.
compete at. And you have to be armed with that information to make those valuable decisions.
So speaking about that information, right? Because that's why we're here.
Mhm.
Again, if you're watching this and you just so happen to be up because you're not an old guy like me, please, if
It's
you
late for
have a
me too. I'm gonna
question,
go to bed after this.
oh, definitely. If you have a question based on any of this information, please, again, this is what she does, right? She does athletics from an academic standpoint, and that is what we're going to get into. Because again, Like we both said, it ain't going nowhere. And I'm not an advocate for doing it. I'm also not an advocate for not doing it. You got to do what's best for your child. And this is one of the ways that you'll have the information to do what's best for your child. So let's look at it, right? So we're in middle school. We're in
Yep.
middle school. We got sixth, seventh, eighth graders. And as a parent, I'm thinking about reclassing,
Hmm.
right? What steps well, first of all, what should I be looking at if I just, what should bring me to that decision in the first place? Like, not from a
Yep.
basketball standpoint, what should bring me to the decision of wanting to have my child repeat another grade?
We're sitting in the first quarter, right? So everyone, I'm gonna talk school term. At the end of the day, right? The first quarter of the year, the first semester of the year has ended, right? Second quarter just ended for most schools. I'm looking. I'm starting to see what's going on with my kids' grades. How are we looking? Is my sixth grader, my seventh grader at age, right? Are they computing? I'm talking to the teachers. Hey, how's processing going for him or her? Are they catching up? I know we came out of COVID. You got to think about this in the academic sense. Our kids that are in elementary school now did some very important years in the house. And with us parents and all of us are not educators. And so we did the best we could.
Most of us aren't, to be honest, but
And those are valuable years. And I think because I see it on the high school level, right? They get in. I got high schoolers in ninth and 10th grade that have no study habits, don't know how to put it in the plan. But then I said, they did COVID in middle school in the house. And so now let's take it even younger. Our elementary kids, when they were supposed to be writing and putting subject verb agreement together and processing and learning the beginnings of PEMDAS and all that stuff, right? Parentheses, that goes inside exponents, math. They didn't do it, right? And this is the serious side of it, right? So these are the questions you have to be asking your teachers. Are they working at the average age of their age, like of their classmates, right? Do you think they're behind, ahead, any of that? Those are the questions you want to ask academically. Are you noticing? I tell my kid to do something, not them being mad, but I'm telling my kid to do something and they can't get it. Like, are you catching yourself saying, do you understand what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying because they want to be annoying, but realizing they just not catching the drift. Like
right.
comprehension is off. Like, boy, like, did you hear me? Oh, you watching the game. Everybody had tournaments this weekend, MLK, done traveled and all
I was
this.
at junior
And
senior.
you're like, I heard the coach tell you to go left and get in there, and then you looking this way and you confused, like you're not paying attention, like you do. I know I'll be hearing parents talk like that to their kids, and you noticing they can't quite process this. All of this has to do with education and academics, their processing speeds, what they're hearing. And academics is so closely related to sport because if they can't do it in the classroom, they sure not doing it on the court.
Damn sure can't do it on the court.
But a lot
Hey,
of the times, parents is like, oh, it's not showing because the kids. And here's another thing: if you know those things are happening, and your teacher has no response for you, and you're like, let me just put them on this computer program and do a little assessment and see what they're doing, and they're just giving out A's and B's, that's doing your kid a disservice too, because
man,
that's happening too. There are schools and public schools in particular, and I'm not going to bash public schools because I went to a public school and I'm fine. But some of these public schools are just passing our kids through.
dead ass. Oh, dead ass.
And it's unfortunate because then our kids, let's keep it real. I got kids that no, I want to go to a WCA school or for junior high school. I want to apply early to get into a private school, a Sidwell for seventh or eighth grade, but they can't do work. And that's because in third and fourth and fifth grade, they was like, oh, you get an A, or they're giving our kids coloring sheets when they should be doing math. So those are academic questions that have to be asked before we're even talking about
The athletic
reclassification, the athletic part. We can't even get to that part before we're really taking an introspective look at the academics of our children and saying, because we know our kids. We know, can you do this? Can your kid in third or fourth grade go down, read a box of oatmeal, make some oatmeal, boil the water in this? Or you're like, nah, I got to hand hold that. I can't trust that. Like those little nuances are little flags. And when I sit down with parents and I tell them that, they're like, oh, that makes sense.
part.
Yeah, they could use a phone because the phone does everything for them. Yeah, they could use an iPad. But I'm talking about really, really thinking about it. And that doesn't make your child behind. I'm not saying your child is behind. Some students do have learning differences, but I'm saying those are little things that you may use that says, hey, COVID did cause this huge gap in my child's education. I might be looking into either I'm doing summer prep, because we all forgot about that. I don't know
No
about
one did.
y'all, but I used to get these little books in the summer, them workbooks. My mother used to make me do workbooks for the next grade I was going
Mm,
to do in the summer, and then I was ready for the next grade.
next year,
Right?
right?
No, nobody does that anymore. So before you talk about reclass, do some summer books, and maybe you need to do some summer, remediation, and then. But no, I know we're traveling, but they can do the books, and then we get to reclass when it's like I have explored all options, and here I am. I think it's still necessary that we do this, or I'm preparing to take my child out of public school or a school that I know wasn't really teaching them, and I want them to repeat that grade in a private school or a homeschool setting or a specialty program setting, because I know that I'm preparing them to be ready for a high achieving high school. And that's where we start talking about that conversation.
Okay, cool. So we started having those conversations. So now we're looking at it from an athletic side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of parents on here. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of parents on here are entertaining it, and for their child from an athletic perspective, right? So from an athletic perspective, how do we make this work so that we are? Because by the way, I've had a conversation, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody on here can correct me if I'm wrong. But I did have a conversation that a lot of these WCAC, MIAA schools, MAC schools, with the Sidwells and the Murrays and the Bullises, they're not even looking at public kids who come out of public school. Not even looking, because not to say that this is fair,
Well, yeah.
but from an academic standpoint, don't care how good you are, you do not meet our academic requirements. And this is the conversation I had with a parent, and a lot of the kids are beginning to go to Catholic schools and from a homeschool program because of some of these coaches, and I feel like a good portion of them, when these children go interview at these schools, like, hey, I like you, you got an interview, but I can't give you money because you went to a public school and academically you don't line up with our standards. So, with that being said, from a academic standpoint for athletic purposes, how do we make that work? How do
Well,
we make that make sense?
and I don't know all the ins and outs of the WCACs and the MIAAAs and all this, but majority of the kids are coming from a private school, homeschool background before they enter into the school, and a lot of it comes down to the student had to shift the way they learned and shift the way to prepare for this high academic institution. And some of these schools, once these kids get there, are not that it's hard, but you have to understand they have, a certain level of rigor there is a standard level of it, but to a public school student, it may seem like it's honors. And so when they are deciding to reclass and say they take the homeschool route, and now this kid is self-pacing, right? And this kid has to get up and do a schedule, and this kid has to put that around their workouts. And so they're getting into this college preparatory field, and it's like, oh, and so when it's time for them to actually get into that school or have that interview, they're actually more prepared, because a lot of the times our kids in the public school are spending 8 hours in the building being watched, and maybe 2.5 hours learning, and then they got an hour for lunch, and then they play in recess or whatever they're doing, and then another elective, and to be honest, a lot of the times us as parents, we're not holding our public school systems to a standard. We're just sending them there.
Right,
And we pay good taxes to send them to some of these public schools in this area, and nobody's calling them on it. They're not saying you got to challenge my kid, you got to do this, you got to do this. We just send them to school and
right,
say, I'll pick you up after, boo. And we're doing that. Whereas in the private school, when you listen, I'm working them. You send even my kid, I talk about my kid. My kid is in K4 and 2. I don't get a scope and sequence. I don't get a syllabi of the segments of what we're doing. I'm calling what we learning this month.
right.
I'm paying good money. See, my conversation changes. And so that's the conversation we need to be having when we're getting to that next level. And we're talking about, especially because we're investing money. So here's the thing. A parent will, get on a coach, a program, anything. I paid. Some I have money to travel all this way, and my kid is sitting on the bench. You didn't even give him a chance. You're not even looking at him. You're not even doing this. But we don't want to have that same conversation with the
Hey,
school. My
say it for
kid didn't come home with no homework, didn't have no
damn.
tests, didn't do this, blah blah blah. But nobody, but they're gonna pay thousands for AAU and basketball. But then when you say, well, I think you should switch them to a more rigorous education, maybe something that's going to challenge them, and it's going to be about 1,000 a month. Oh, that's a lot of money. I don't know. What? But you're paying the same, if not more, if not more, for the thing. So here's my thing when I say, if we want to skate around and cheat the way and cheat academics, it's not going to result in elite results.
Right.
You can't cheat any part of this process. As much as you give into the sport is as much as you have to give into the schooling. And I'm not saying you have to pull your kid from a public school, but you are going to have to supplement their education. So if they are going to stay in public school, the conversation I'm having is, what are they doing in the summer? They need to be taking an online curriculum, an accredited curriculum that's showing they're meeting both ways. So if public school is the way, then we'll take a summer course every year until they're ready to go and make that transition. And then, a lot of times the reason why people are reclassing in 8th grade and 7th grade is because, like you said, the WCC or some of those schools are saying, nah, you're not coming here. There's no way you're ready for English, the English now we're going to have here based off what you took in middle school. So they reclass and they do it that year at that time to get ready.
Ooh. So how do we avoid that? So how do we avoid that process? Because this is what you do. Like, this is what you set out legitimate schedules for kids so that they are not only ready to go into high school, but so they are academically qualified to play in college. Yeah. I know many of you have had many conversations. I don't say names, but I know that you deal with children, young adults, who, without your help, could not accept the scholarship to the school because they are not academically qualified by NCAA standards. And unfortunately, they would not have known had they not spoken to you. Yeah. So we're in middle school right now because my audience is mostly 8th grade on down. I have a couple high school people, but I mostly speak to grassroots basketball. Yeah. And this is honestly for them. If, not saying you should, not saying you shouldn't, but if you're going to do it anyway, because I know some of y'all are going to do it, how do they make it work? I got 5th, 4th, 6th, 7th. How do they make it work?
If you're going to do it, make sure you're doing it right. And the first thing first, right? Let's decide what is the schooling going to look like? Step one, is my kid going private school? Can they handle homeschool? Can I handle homeschool? Oh, are they going to go co-op? Am I going to look for a homeschool program? Am I going to look, because I can't watch them, I got to work. All that, decide on the schooling. Step one. Step two, if you're going to do this, what level am I starting at? Do I need to repeat some courses? Do I think they grasped everything they need to do in 6th and 7th grade, right? Are we at life science? Are we here? And if you're a 7th or 8th grader, we are talking about, okay, if you are going to take some high school courses, and this is very slim, if you are going to take your Algebra 1, your Spanish 1, language, beginning language, realize that the more advanced you do become, by the time you reach high school, you're going to be really advanced. So you want to be making sure you're making this plan that is attainable and sustainable for your child. So if I start Algebra 1 in 7th, and then the scope and sequence goes like this: Algebra 1, geometry. By 9th grade, your child is going to be in Algebra 2. By 10th grade, we're talking pre-calculus. By 11th grade, we're talking calculus. Understand that the trajectory goes up. I don't believe in repeating classes unnecessarily. So do not rush the process, but still you want to advance your kid every year, right? Algebra 1, and your kids, Spanish 1, Spanish 2. But think about it, they're going to be a 9th grader in a high school, 14 years old, and do you want them in 11th grade courses all the time? No. So you want to make sure you're mixing up that schedule to make sure it's balanced. Not too many high courses, but not too many lower courses either. No standard courses. You're still preparing your child for the next level. And that's really what I come in as a consultant and really do with families, because sometimes we just don't know. So I'll give them a suggested schedule based on the grades I see, based on their previous, schooling and things of that nature. So that's the second thing. Well, third thing, I forget what I was counting. And then what is training going to look like? Because here's the part, we sometimes get parents that's, they got the training down pack, they don't got the school down pack. And then the reverse is they got the school down pack, but they don't got the training down. I hate a waste of a reclass. I hate it. I watched you and made hoops, and you did a great job 7th grade, but you don't really want to. You're not ready for 8th, so we're gonna repeat 7th. And you go out there, it's that first 7th grade. By the end of the sessions, you was starting to skyrocket. Stock was rising. Everybody know who you were. They're like, "Ooh, he gonna be good." They about to
You
put
getting
him
the
on.
write ups, all
You
that
getting the
good.
write up. You getting the rankings. You're getting all this stuff. We repeat, right? 7th grade session comes again, and you blending in. So all them 8 inches that you were going to grow in that 1 year in that reclass didn't happen, and you're still the same size. But then worse than that, you're still the same player or your same caliber of player, and nothing improved. I call that a waste of a reclass, because now at this point, what did we do? We could have went to 8th grade. We can do. What are we doing for training? So really keying in, what are we doing for performance training? Are we making sure they're looking stronger? They're getting mentally stronger. Let's not forget about the mental part. Are they doing all of these things to enhance and improve their bodies? Because, and I take this from my partner, I have a very trusted partner, Quantum Movement. He says in that middle school, 7th, 6th grade age group, that 12 years old to 13 age, is the biggest time in a person's life where you can actually transform your body. Like, that's the fastest you're ever going to be. I didn't know that until I started. And I'm like, are you taking advantage of that in that pre-class year? So all those things are part of thinking about, am I going to reclass? Am I going to do this? Is this something that I can commit to academically, performance wise, training, so you're getting your body right, and that's like lifting, strength, and nutrition, and then training on the court, football, whatever sport that your child does. And am I able to do that holistically and invest that money into that? And then finally, there's always a fourth part, what team are they playing for? Because that's a big thing too. Sometimes we do this reclassification, or we decide to repeat, and then now we're going to put them on the same team, but you didn't have that conversation with that coach, and now that coach already recruited somebody over you, and now you mad at them, but you didn't tell them the plan. And so this has to be talked about. And that's the craziest thing is, I had that conversation more than anything. They're like, well, I thought the coach knew, because the coach told me they need to recruit. Have the conversation, open your mouth and tell them, this is what I'm thinking, coach. What do you think? Will you have a spot for my child next year on this? Because if not, I need to find a team before I make this drastic decision.
That is, I don't think that part, that last part, I don't think that's ever actually been verbalized. I think that communication piece of I've made this plan and kept it to myself,
Mm-hmm.
just thinking my child would be, I think a lot of parents, and matter of fact, not think, I know for a fact that a lot of parents just assume that when they reclass their child, at least from an athletic standpoint, that they're going to dominate the next year.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
can tell you for a fact, nine, not saying that it doesn't, but honestly, 8 out of 10 times it doesn't happen. I see kids who reclass, and you look good. You just look like a good player at that age group. You ain't dominating that age group, and I'm not even talking about like locally. You're not dominating locally. You're just a good player. So, a lot of times we're seeing people reclass, and like you said, they didn't grow that 6 to 7 inches. You're not the
mm-hmm.
big kid that you thought you would be. You're not the most skilled kid. Now academically, you're doing the exact same classes. Now your child is bored, and he's the
Mm-hmm.
same player, and you didn't invest in strength and training, and on top of that, you didn't have that conversation with the coach.
Yeah.
So now you're just a good kid, and your stock didn't really move one way or the other, and now you're going into the 8th grade or the 9th grade, and your prospects just didn't change.
Yep.
Like you
And that
didn't use it.
conversation with the coach is key, because now you put that coach in an awkward position, because they were preparing for my 6th graders coming up to 7th grade, right? They had this whole plan. That those rosters are not going to grow all of it miraculously because you decide to stay back. It's still, and I'm talking about some organizations that maybe only carry 12,
Oh,
11,
yeah,
because let's be realistic, you carry any more than that, no, somebody's not playing consistently every game.
shit.
And so at
12
the
is too
end of
much.
12 is a lot. So at the end of the day, that conversation has to happen. And a lot of times I think people want to be secretive, and I'm okay with you not sharing. You don't have to post it. Share your business with the world. I'm not saying blast and put a poster out and I'm deciding to reclass, but the people that are part of your child's team, that inner circle, everyone has to come to the table and we got to have a talk. And there's no secrets here. This is what we're doing. This is our plan. This is how we're going to execute it. This is how we're going to go. Because people think, people like to post these memoir, these little quotations and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they say, a plan, no, a goal without a plan is a daydream, right? Like it is. Like you're daydreaming. Like my kid is going to one day be at Paul VI. Well, if you don't got a plan, you daydreaming.
Then ain't going.
It
Yeah,
ain't going to happen. I love having dreams, and I tell families this all the time. You'll catch me saying this. Please aim for the clouds. Go ahead, aim for the clouds. Because if we aim for it and we hit the stars, we still at the top, boo. But if you don't have no focus and you're aiming and you're just saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and no, you're not even talking to the key stakeholders and that's surrounding your kid, you're just talking. You're daydreaming. And a lot of times that reality check comes when maybe they do sit down with me and I'm like, oh, that's cute. When did this come up? So did you talk to the coach? And they're looking at me like, no, I'm not going to tell them yet because I don't know if we're going to stay with this organization. And I don't know why I'm talking to this one. And I get it. But then talk to both coaches. Be very honest, right?
Keep it
Like
a
at
buck.
the end of the day,
Keep it a buck.
keep it a buck. If you want to change them, then have a conversation with this team. Because they need to know this is the plan. This is what I'm doing. Because you don't know who they know behind that. They'll be like, well, if you are going to do it, I actually have a school for them. They could go here because I'm actually working with this program. Actually, we might be able to give you some discount. But because a lot of times parents want to do it secretly and all this, they're missing out on opportunities for people to come alongside them and help them elevate their children. And they don't have to do this alone.
Right.
They don't. There are now in 2024, there are more people hip to it because it's not going anywhere, but they have information. Some now everybody don't got good information. You got to be discerned. They at least have partnerships and training and different things that they can offer to you that'll help elevate your child to that next level that you are going. And I'm going to throw my plug in there. We do have a homeschool option, Quantum Movement Prep. We just launched this week. We have enrollment already. Limited spot stuff. And our program is all inclusive, right? We are a homeschool program, but we do cater to the age of middle school. But we have all those things performing. We're going to have a top conversation. And then here's the thing. You may not get past the conversation between me and my partners. Because we'll say, this is not for you. We're going to be very honest. We don't want you wasting your money or our time. So it's vice versa. You need to enroll them in school. And that's the stuff that sometimes people don't want to tell anybody. Like they don't want to have that conversation. You need to, your kid needs to stay in school. Let's talk about this maybe a little later, 8th grade, and maybe we could do high school. Like they don't want to have that conversation. And I'm okay with having that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you got to be. I think conversations like this need to be had more often, honestly,
Yeah.
because like I said, one thing I do with my page is I like to talk shit and talk basketball. I love to talk to coach. That's all well and good. But the biggest thing that I want from my page is to be able to give information.
Absolutely.
And the correct information, not just the correct information that will help. If I can get one parent who got something from this and it benefited their child,
Yep.
that's a win. That's a win. That's a win. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and fake. I didn't bring her on just cause. I brought her on because I've gone to her myself with my child, and got some great information that has already paid dividends. So again, I don't bring people who don't know what they're talking about. Period.
And I'll say this, you don't have to have a conversation. I'm an all-around educational consultant. Yes, I may be a reclass specialist and a strategist, but my desire is to help every family navigate this world of academics and athletics with you. Because your child may not be on that reclass class, but you may have a high achieving student. And I'm here to open your eyes up to what that looks like in your lane. Like, it's okay. I went to school on a full athletic scholarship, but I also had a full academic scholarship. And I signed that away and I got some checks. I was a double major in college. I went to one of the highest academic schools in New York. And then I played sports. But all of those played dividends. And there's ways that you can get scholarships, because a lot of times we're still trying to get through this route. Oh, I'm going to go to Sidwell, on an athletic scholarship or getting them in there. But boy, if you got brains,
You
they'll pay for you to come to school.
like no one wants an academic. Do you know that academic scholarships are actually far easier to get than athletic scholarships? Look,
Oh
I
my
know we
goodness.
all got hoop dreams,
We all
baby.
got
I know we all got
hope.
hoop dreams. We do. Let's keep it a buck. That's just the culture, and I love it. But you can get both, like you said. You can get an
Yeah, and it's from
academic
young.
one too.
And these days and age, it's from young. So if we start at third and fourth grade, like you got to do your work. We're doing this. This is someone we taking care of this. Because by the time you're gonna meet somebody that says, well, civil starts at sixth grade or seventh grade. I'm just using civil
Right.
as an example, but Bullis, any of those schools that start middle school,
Right.
they will pay for them and take them early. You'll run into a sponsor that happens to love basketball and is in the gym. It's like, whoa, they're at what level? What is their reading score? Can they take this SSAT and get in and do this and do that? Yeah, they can take it. And you get your kid into middle school early on a scholarship. And then that starts the trajectory that can change their life. They're sitting in classrooms with future politicians and government officials and CEOs because they play a sport, but more importantly, because they have the grace to sit there and have a conversation with them.
Say it again.
You're
Lord
setting them
Jesus
up for
Christ.
success and you're setting them up for future. And that's really my passion. That's my purpose. I feel like God has called me because yes, I was good. I ain't gonna never crap on myself. Listen, when I was 12, I wasn't that great. But my coach, she did great wonders. But by the time I got to my scholarship into high school, I was great. But what I knew I always had was my brain. What they was never going to
What?
take from me was I was going to get to college and use every bit of education I could get to get where I am today. And that's what I'm trying to instill in families and instill in student athletes with all the different times I talk to parents and the programs that I help and I assist with, because it's about pushing that and finding that light in your child, because they all have it. And the biggest thing is if they have that athletic mindset, that true athletic mindset, they're going to conquer the classroom so easy.
Man, but hey, look. Look, if y'all got any questions, ask now. I'm gonna say it live because I always say these
Favor.
lives. But if you got any questions,
Favor.
ask now. Shanae, I usually don't do this, right? I usually don't do this, but I know for a fact that someone in here will be able, to use your guidance. Lord knows I did, and I thank you for it. So, can you drop your info? How do they get in touch with you? How do they get this
Yeah.
information? I got a
Well,
man in Jersey who just was like, he got a daughter that's academically brilliant and she
oh,
ball.
yeah.
She need that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my good man. So I want anybody on here who who needs this kind of guidance can reach out to you, right? So
Yep.
what
Yep.
what can they find you at,
So
Shanae?
my page is here, Sinead.y.howard. If you click the link in my bio, you can click on my calendar. I have free consultations. You click it, set up a free consultation. Let's have a conversation first. Let's figure out what you want to do. And then we go from there, right? We set up a plan if that's something that you want to do. Sometimes it's just a consult and you just have one question. You're thinking about it. And, I have a lot of parents like, well, I'm going to call you back when they're in sixth grade or when they're in seventh grade, but at least you gave me this. And that's fine. Give me a call. I have an ebook out right now on reclassification. Check it out. It has great information. It has those steps. If you're at that place right now, you're like, I want to do it, I don't know, get my ebook. I have another ebook coming out, and it's literally about what we just talked about: academic mindsets, athletic mindsets in the classroom, pushing yourself to success. That's not only for student athletes, it's for students. So my page is the best way to get me because it has all my info on Instagram. That's how you know I'm tired. Shanae Y. Howard on Instagram, and my link is in the bio. Please shoot me an email, hit me up. I will be so excited to talk with you.
Absolutely. I got my first question. It say I put my son in school early. He's currently a grade ahead. His coach suggests us reclassify him to his correct grades. Thoughts?
How is he fine academically? And I'm always gonna come with the academic first. Is he academically ready? Is he mature? Are you going to switch to school? Is it okay if he reclasses in that same school? Those are all the questions that come to my mind first, right? Is he in a private school? Are you okay with homeschooling? How young is he? If he's a grade ahead, do you want to wait a year? Do you want to wait till he's in 8th grade maybe to do it? I don't know what year this child is in. So all those questions come to mind initially when it comes to that. And I know a lot of times birthday cutoffs in different states, you know, like the age. I know in New York is like they putting you in kindergarten. Like out here, this is more of an issue in the DMV area. But if your child is older, you have the ability, of course, to put them back and in their peer age group ages and that. But and however, think about the holistic view always. Is this the time to do that? How are they maturing? Because if they already know how to get around it academically, this may be something we're talking about later on. And we might be not so early into the repeating or different things like that. And we could adjust. If their body is if their body is maturing at a rate that's fast, I would leave them, right? But if it's not, and you see some, you know, a little bit of things we can get him right or her right, maybe we do talk about it, but it may not be at, you know, at an early age. It might be a little later. You got to think about that holistic approach.
Yeah. Look, everything ain't. When you pull that trigger for reclass, it matters just as much as if you do it. You know, the timing has to be right. It has to make sense on, again, not just from an athletic standpoint. I think if anybody watched this, the biggest thing that I want you to get from this is that reclassing is not just an athletic decision. If you do it academically, you're actually far more likely to get an academic scholarship than you are an athletic one. Like she
Four
said, the percent of
times, 4 times more likely. If you want some numbers to it, and I would say a high school student, I would give it to the high school numbers. You're 4 times more likely to get academic money any times than athletic. 4 times.
4 times, 4 times. Zero excuses. This is not this kind of live, but you are not a DMV team, so that's why you're not there. What are your thoughts on reclassing before the 6th grade?
Very, 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 very case by case analysis. I like an older one because they're too young. They're so young and they don't understand. And most of the times in that earlier reclass, if they're not in a private school, they're not going to allow you to do it anyway. Most of the times they're not going to allow you to do it in public school. But when they're a little older, you can use testing and different things to allow them to make them, you know, make your case for them repeating. But when they're so young, we just don't know where the cookie is going to crumble. So I'm not a huge fan of it being fourth, third, second, because I don't even know what this child is yet, right? I don't know if they're going to, you know, stretch out, grow, really love this. I don't know how their brain is processing in the fourth, 9 years old, 8 years old. They're really not there. But I am a fan of, however, in those grades, summer supplementation. So you can see in that fourth and that 5th grade, listen, you're doing summer school, boy or girl, and not to repeat, but let's see what you can take, and that's your test right there. I believe in throwing the fire, and you want to talk about reclass, or this is what you want to do. This is things. Let me see you take this book and finish it. You have June and July. Get this math done. Take a grade ahead. See what they can do, because now you're testing their weight, right? They're high capacity kids, they're high capacity adults. And if that is a struggle for them, you're gonna probably rethink that reclassification, because reclassification comes with a lot of academic stress as well. They're gonna be pounded on. So if they can't do just a little, you know, summer book. When I say summer books, I'm talking about them like you know, the learning books you can get these days. They sell them in Five Below. They're like packets, Spectrum books. There you go, Spectrum. And they'll be like, if you're in 4th grade, you're doing a 5th grade book. If you're in 5th grade, you're doing a 6th grade book. And let them do a subject and see what they can take, you know, what they can handle. If you are beating your teeth over it and they're like, oh, no, Mom, I already did 30 minutes, or I don't want to do this. I don't know if we're going to have this conversation about reclassification so early. We revisited 7th, 8th grade.
By the way, I gotta put this out there. We're talking about reclassing, not playing your kid down. That's a whole different subject. If you out here playing, if you're in 1st grade and you're playing your child in the lower grade, I'm gonna keep it above. You setting this kid up for failure out the gate. So this ain't that. This is for people who honestly have the idea of moving forward. You know, and again, reclassing for those who don't know. And I got to go all the way back to that. I don't think certain people know what
Oh,
reclassing is.
yes, yeah. And
Reclass.
oh, you want to give the definition? Go ahead.
Yeah.
My
Now
bad.
you go ahead. You give me the you get a definition. You go ahead.
Reclassification is changing your child's original graduation date either earlier or later. And that's the simplest way to put it. However, and but by NCAA definition, reclassification starts the year your child enters ninth grade because that's where they start counting eligibility. And they give you 4 years counting from that ninth grade. So they say it is the year from the start of your ninth grade year that you choose to change their graduation either earlier or backwards. So you'll hear, oh, I reclassed up, or Cooper Flag reclassed back, up to or back to his original grade or up. And this, that is all high school terminology. However, it has trickled down into the younger generations in middle school and elementary. And for me, I call those pseudo reclasses because there is no terminology for it at that age by, our standards, but it is happening. So by definition, it's just changing the year your child would have graduated from their class. So if they started school, ninth grade hypothetically, next year in 2024, 2025, they should be a 2028, 2029, right? 2028 graduate, yes. But if you decide to reclass them, they could be 2029. And if you reclass them up again, it's 2028. So it's just changing those graduation dates.
Correct.
That has nothing to do
Changing.
with age.
Yes.
It has everything to do with the year
Everything
your child
to
was
do with
graduated.
all it is changing the year you graduate. That's
Yeah.
all
And it's
reclassing
bringing
is.
back historically, and this is my geeky side of me. Back in the days, almost 20 years ago, there was a big epidemic in it, where football players were knowing they were having sons and they were holding them back in preschool. And the repeat kindergarten takeover, but they were doing it on purpose because they knew in a couple of years their child would be ahead of the
Physically.
game.
Yeah.
And it's still going on. Don't get it twisted. Talking about, oh no, they're not ready for kindergarten. I'm gonna do K+4, K4 plus. Huh? There's a K4 plus, but it's still happening. So there's another. This goes even deeper than that. And it was a big football thing. You Google it, guys. It happened. But now we're talking about it in basketball and football. Now gymnasts. They do it. It's a lot of sports. That you'll see it trying to get pro quicker, and like your tennis and your golf, and they don't necessarily label it like we do in the basketball and football world, reclass. But these students are homeschooled and they've been jumping grades for a long time.
Right.
And now we our sport just brings the light to it.
Right. All right. So I got
Okay.
two more. Let's see. We got one of them. In your experiment, hey, look, I don't know. Like when I do like my stories, that happens a lot. I'll say something and then have to redo the story. In your experience, are public school middle schoolers less likely to receive academic scholarships at Sid Wells, Georgetown Preps, Bullis, etc.?
You're saying public, like regular
Like
public school students, they didn't go.
public middle schoolers, how likely are they to get academic scholarships
In my experience, not as often as that their peers that come from another institution, like a private institution or homeschool. I didn't say they didn't get them. No, they can. Maybe especially if they're in like a specialized program or gifted program or things of that nature, and they have supplemented their education. Most likely students that attend public schools, I see that have such a list of extracurriculars or more of a supplemental education. Maybe they did a robotics team outside of school, or they did some type of extra thing that was not a sport outside their school. They're more likely to get some type of funding for those schools.
Gotcha. So I know in public school, at least in PG public school, there's a program called TAG, Talented and Gifted, that your child has to be selected for based on their academic performance. And I know there are actually schools that are TAG specific. So those tend to help. But like she said, doing a summer course, which you can do virtually. Summer school doesn't have to
In person.
be the way we remember it, right?
Yeah.
Like going to summer school was a curse. Like, God damn it, I gotta go to all my friends outside. You do not have to do summer school at a school. You can do it online, and it be accredited, and it counts through programs. That can be done. Keep that in mind. I know we hear homeschool like we did it, and it's a dirty word. Again, that was a dirty word. Oh, you going to summer school? You
Oh
stupid.
my
You ain't do
God. Yep,
nothing.
yep. Oh, you can't. You got bad grades.
Yeah,
What? No,
it
that's
is
not it.
not
That's not
that.
it anymore. That's not
It's
it.
not. It can be honestly used as a tool to again, just like everything else, to advance your child, to help them get into one of those schools, right? So,
Especially
like
if
you said,
that's the goal and you want to keep them, you really love your public school. You're like, no, I really want them. Okay, then what's the plan? Like we gotta add some things that's gonna supplement your child's education and really advocate for your child. Go up there. I want to meet with the principal, the counselor, everybody. This is what my child's plan is. We're going to this school. What we're gonna do. I've been a counselor for 15 years, and I have had parents sit with me and sit down and say, this is the plan. And I said, okay, that looks good. I'm glad that you let me know the plan because now when I see Johnny or Sarah in the hallway, hey, we got a plan. What you doing? Mommy already
yeah,
told me what we doing. So you need to get back. So now when everyone's on it's the same page, we know. I have kids that parents tell me they're going to be a doctor. This is what they want to be. Now, granted, that's a whole nother life. Don't put dreams on kids, but make them, I do believe in you pushing them to do something.
right,
So I'll call the kid in the hallway. Hey, doctor. Hey, Dr. Joe, hi, there's this. So you have to give those things and push them to, accomplish those dreams, but tell everybody on the team.
right.
Tell everybody. All the
Everybody
key
got to.
stakeholders.
It take a village. It ain't just one. It ain't just. It take a village. All right, got another question. Also, can you explain about reclassifying? Then, if it doesn't work, can you reclassify back up to your right grade?
Only if you have done it right. And the reason why I say that is that means you have made sure that your child still was advancing academically and through this process. So let me make it very plain. If I decide hypothetically to reach class my fifth grader to fifth grade again, my fifth grader is not going to only take fifth grade courses. They're going to take sixth grade courses. They're going to take some of those core sixth grade classes so they're continuing on that trajectory. So if it does not work out and we get to seventh and eighth grade, and you're like, you're not ready for this. You don't want to do this. Maybe you don't even want to play sports anymore. I can say to the school, well, he does have the credits for this. We may only have to take one class over summer, so I want them back in eighth grade, or I want them back in their original grade, and that is the hack. Most people in high schoolers do it all the time. They did it all these years. Maybe they reclass in eighth grade. They get to around that junior, senior year, and the offers are not coming, or they just said, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I'm over it. Like, mom, this ain't working out. Then they requested back to their original grade, and that's fine because they were on a trajectory to graduate anyway with that original class because academically they never went backwards. And so if you do it right, you absolutely can do it.
So, real quick, I'm gonna share a conversation the man you had and made so much sense in the world to me, right? Say you reclass, eighth grade, seventh grade, whenever you do it. Say you reclass, and your junior year, right? Your freshman year go by, no offers. Your sophomore year go by, no offers. Looking kind of rough. We get into our junior year. Your junior year comes by again. We know what the transfer portal is looking like. We know what this COVID year is looking like. Your junior year comes along, and realistically, the reality is beginning to set in that you're probably not going to get one of those offers that you want. But a school comes along. Let's say Robert Morris. I'm not picking on
Mm-hmm.
Robert Morris. Robert Morris is the D1 college for one.
Yes, it
Let's
is.
keep it a buck.
Yep.
Robert Morris comes along and says, right now I'm not projected for yours. I like this kid. What grade is he in? Oh, he's a senior. I mean, he's a junior right now. Rats. I got a scholarship for a senior right now. If he was a senior, I would love to take him. Oh, well, wait a minute. I can be a senior next semester. All I gotta do is take two courses. I can be a senior next semester and commit.
Yep.
Because, God forbid that offer, is filled by a senior. And the next year, the next class looks different. There honestly may not be an opportunity
Yep.
for you. So being ready
Yep.
always for an opportunity, whatever opportunity comes
Yep.
along,
And I'll
being
keep it
able.
and I'll keep it even more transparent. In the last 3 years, and I work with a great circuit team, and I work with different people on the Nike circuit, different things. I've seen it happen more often than not. That exact conversation. I'm like, oh no, they're ready. What they need. And parents call me, Sinead, we need 5 because we need this class. All right, we're ready. Remember, we prepared for this. This is our moment. Let's seal
Right.
the deal. Get them in this class.
Right.
We about to take this offer. And the coaches, I'm telling you, I talked to, and he's fine because he said, I talked to the director of Clemson. I'll never forget. The past year, he came. He said, I wish more people would talk to you. How did you know? I said, I didn't, but I knew I was going to have them ready. I said, we never know. I don't project the future, but I knew y'all jokers, y'all run out of transfer portals, or y'all just say, I need somebody right now. You're more likely to go with a high school kid because they're going to be ready. And so that's what I do now. We prepare them to be ready. And it starts young. It starts even as middle school, preparing them to be able to take that offer whenever they can.
That part. Hey, man, that part. Let me see. I got another. This ain't a question. This is more of a statement. My son's school has a summer session that does count as supplemental, or should we do in addition to that?
Hey, I would, it's personal, but I would love that to hear what that supplemental summer school looks like. And if they allow you to go into that, hey, yes. Yes, especially if it's something that's going to advance your child.
Man, look, the more that you can be prepared academically, the more further you are prepared academically, the better off you're going to be. Now we look,
And and at the end of the day, and I know it is late, but at the end of the day, if you're pushing them academically, do you know what you're doing? Just by default, you're building their IQ. You're opening their brain to things that they don't know. They're taking in new knowledge, so therefore their brain is being stretched. It's a muscle. Just like we got to work on our handle, we got to work on this. The brain is the same way. We got to work on it. They got to take that. So we're opening them up. So now when the coaches are talking to them at a higher level and they say, hey, go take their screen, roll, or pop out, maybe look, shadow cut, do this, X. Now that we having conversations at a higher level because they're reading at a higher level. They're computing things at a higher level. It's by default. It's you'll be amazed. And because I've done this for 15 years, I've seen kids that, I hate school, I'm not doing this. To Miss Howard, y'all got this A. You ain't see, I was killing it. I wrote this paper. Look, take this out. And I'm seeing the trend, the confidence they have in just doing that. Imagine how they look on the court. It's the same thing.
hey, look, I can attest. I can attest.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, again, one more time before we hop off. Anybody who just hop on, share your information, how to get in touch with you. Again, I'm gonna say it live for you guys to go back and read. Please, I don't do a lot of lives that are share worthy. A lot of it is a lot of me talking trash with different coaches. Please, 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 if you watch this at any point, share this with whoever you think will benefit. And I mean this because I really want you guys to benefit. I want your children to benefit, whether I know them, whether they follow the page or not. This is just information that you need. These are people that you need to know. Shanae, go ahead, drop the info.
At Sinead.y.howard on Instagram. Link in the bio. My calendar is there set up. I have free consultations. Would love to chat with you.
Look, share it, rewatch it. It's an hour long of straight info. Sinead, you just don't know how much I've been wanting. I've been wanting to
You
do this
did,
live for a while
yes,
now,
yes.
and
I'm glad we got to do it.
I'm so happy we got to do it. Again, I appreciate you more than you know. I want to thank CP3 for
Come
allowing me to
on,
meet people like this. Like,
CP3 fam, throw it up.
you know what I'm saying? By the way, we beat my man Mark who do merchandise. We beat his CP3 team at Junior Phenom. Just want to say that Howard was there. I got the bump into Howard.
Wow,
So that was all dope, man. I thoroughly appreciate you. And yeah, man, I'm signing off. You guys share this, please get this information out, rewatch it, use it, hit her up, use the consultation. It's a lot of good info, man. I wish y'all the best. I'm going to bed 'cause my old ass
same.
stayed up late to do this. But again, it's for you guys. So again, Shanae, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you. And
My pleasure.
good night.
Good night.